first ever video, and since I was lazy / didn't have a good camera, I didn't feel the need to record myself, so instead I'm gonna briefly introduce myself, who I am, and yeah, give you a little idea of what's to come ahead. My name is Helen Bodie. I'm 18 years old, and I just graduated high school / took a bunch of AP art exams. I'm gonna be going to vsco Arts, and I'm gonna graduate in the class of 2023. Before I start off this video, I just want to say, I took the AP 2D design exam during the 2018-2019 school year, but since then I'm pretty sure that they've eliminated the breadth section entirely from the exam. So instead of having 12 breadth pieces and having 12 concentration pieces, it's now just 15 concentration pieces. So you're gonna see that in this video I only have 12, because I did the exam before the change. But yeah, so if you notice why I don't talk about breadth at all, it's gonna be because you don't need to actually do it anymore. But yeah, hopefully it's still a helpful video. So, part 1, Deep Sea. What Deep Sea means, it's actually the title of my concentration. And before I gave any advice about tips and tricks to get a 5 on the exam, I kind of just wanted to show my own concentration as an example of not necessarily what to strive for, because obviously everyone's concentration is going to be different, and mine is not like the pinnacle of amazing art for the AP exam, but maybe you could take some pointers from how I approached my theme to hopefully make your theme something that might appeal to the eyes of College Board. So in the image there, that's a picture of me at my school art show, standing in front of my entire completed concentration. I took it the day that I finished the very last piece. I spent 2 years on this concentration, and I'm very proud of it. I'm going to go ahead and read the first half of my concentration statement to more concisely explain what my theme is before I talk about my personal interpretation of the works. So here we go. Love is experienced differently by every person and can encompass friendships, relationships, heartbreaks, and many other pivotal aspects of life. In my concentration, I depicted what love is to me, meaning what it looks like, feels like, and how it has impacted me thus far. That was a pretty vague explanation, but what I'm trying to get at is this. I get my heart broken all the time, whether it be in friendships, or romantic relationships, or with my family. I've gone through the highs and lows of loving and losing people. In each piece, I either reference specific moments that impacted me, or general feelings I have surrounding the concept. So I'm going to cover the concentration as a whole, but I'm still going to show each individual piece so you can get an idea of the order I finished them and maybe some of the thought process behind them. As you can tell, I'm going to be showing the title of each piece in the bottom left-hand corner. So because this concentration was done for the AP 2D design exam, you can see that most of these pieces are either digital paintings or digital drawings done over top photographs that I took. All of these works were done in Photoshop, and I wanted to show off a variety of skills that I had, but mostly I wanted to show that digital art was my strength. As for the recurring elements in these pieces, I felt that love itself was too vague, too abstract of a concept to really make a strong concentration for, so instead of just having love, I decided that each work needed to have a few motifs that repeated throughout the entire portfolio. In order to achieve this, I decided to rely heavily on the vibes or the aesthetics that reminded me of my feelings. In my concentration, to tie my pieces together, I introduced 2 motifs, one being the glowing element in each piece, whether it be the person or an object that is interacting with the main focus of the work, and 2 being the underwater setting that is prevalent in each work. I decided to go with an underwater setting because for me, love is a risky thing, and I feel like a lot of the works I make really embody that feeling of uncertainty and danger when you go into relationships or friendships. The glowing elements in the sea life weren't the only purposeful part of this portfolio. I put a lot of attention towards the color palette as well. If you hadn't already noticed, I stuck to mainly pinks, purples, blues, reds, very cool colors, moody colors, because I wanted to convey the subtlety of emotion. It's both an intense feeling and a very subdued one at the same time. And I think the contrast between the neon elements in the work, as well as the subtle, moody, relaxed background, really communicates what I was trying to get across. Lastly, I tried to include movement. If you look at each piece individually, they all have direction, literally. In some, your eye is guided by rays of light, bubbles floating upwards, sea life that travels horizontally across the canvas, or the way in which water manipulates hair and gravity. By making my art dynamic, I add interest. It feels more real, and the viewer is able to better immerse themselves in the artwork. It was very, very important to me that it come across in every painting. I showed you all this because I want to stress the importance of detail in your work. College Board is really impressed to see continuity and attention to detail when they grade portfolios like these, because it shows that the student has committed to what they're trying to do. To summarize, there's 3 big ideas I think that you should focus on when coming up with your theme. First of all, make your theme personal. In this new AP Art exam, you have to come up with 15 pieces. That is a lot. I struggled to make 12, and I feel like my theme was broad enough to make more than 12. So you want to pick subject matter that is important to you and that inspires you to make a lot of work. Secondly, play to your strengths. The concentration isn't really a place for experimentation or improvement, really. You basically want to show College Board an even amount of skill level in each work, or else they're not going to feel that the entire portfolio is cohesive. Lastly, you want to plan ahead. You don't have to do what I did, which was start my concentration my junior year and then finish it throughout my senior year, but you do want to organize yourself before you start the school year. For me, that was making lists. I made a lot of diagrams. I explored a lot of different directions that I could have taken it before making each piece. That also meant making thumbnails for works and basically drafting the concentration as a whole before starting individual pieces. Now that we're done with my concentration, it's time for the advice part of the video. I'm going to give you guys some tips as to what to avoid and what to strive for when you come up with your theme and you make your pieces. Make your theme unique. This might be one of the most important pieces of advice that you should take. Because when you really think about it, these College Board people who have to grade portfolio after portfolio, all that artwork's gonna blend after a while, and you want your work to stand out. So these are some themes that you should probably avoid if you want to get a 5 on the exam. Nature and human body themes are really overdone. So unless you're going to talk about a specific aspect of nature, for example, maybe something like climate change or pollution, or you're going to address the significance of the human body or a condition of the human body, you really want to avoid those themes for your concentration. Also, please don't draw fan art. One thing that College Board isn't going to appreciate seeing for your concentration are things like cartoons or anime art, and especially fan art, because it shows that you're not coming up with your own organic ideas, but you have to draw from other kinds of media to make good work, and that's not going to help you if the point of the exam is to come up with your own theme. Lastly, I would avoid drawings of fantasy creatures like dragons, mermaids, that kind of thing, because if you make them your concentration, it doesn't really show much depth, unless you take the idea a step further and say, for example, you try to incorporate fantasy creatures into the modern world, or add that other element of depth to the works. Just don't do it. I really wouldn't suggest that. Don't procrastinate. Don't do it. You know that idea where if you write an essay the night before, your teacher can always tell that you've BS'd it? That idea is kind of BS. Most of my high school essays were written the night before or 30 minutes before, and it was fine, but art is not the same way. The amount of effort that you put into your artwork is noticeable. It's not going to do well for your score when College Board sees that you've rushed a piece last minute instead of taking your time on it. I'd highly recommend asking for outside opinions when it comes to finished works, because sometimes you make art and you think it's finished, but it's missing that something. And a lot of the times, it's critiques that help you figure out what you're missing. Art teachers and fellow artists are invaluable when it comes to this. For me personally, my digital art teacher was one of the main sources of inspiration for a lot of the really good parts of my portfolio, because he would help me elevate the quality of the works, if that makes sense. Lastly, I just want to stress how important it is to understand that whatever score you get on the AP exam does not define your worth as an artist. I know some people who are some of the best artists that I have been exposed to so far, and they got 3s and 4s on their exams. Obviously, the amount of work that you put in influences the outcome of the portfolio. However, your score is determined by whoever is scoring your exam, and every person has different taste in art. So if you don't end up getting a 5 on the exam, even after putting a bunch of hard work into it, don't feel bad about it. It doesn't make you a bad artist. For example, I'm doing this video, I got a 5 on my digital art exam, but I got a 4 on my studio art exam. Just depends on whoever's grading it and their taste in art. Now that we're done with the video, here comes the super fun part where I plug all of my social media. Go ahead and follow my Instagram, hb.arts. That's where I put up all the work that I do and will be putting up everything I make during art school, as well as my vsco if you guys want to see my photography. That would be under soyhelen. It's mostly a hobby, but I try, so why not? Lastly, if y'all would be interested in buying any of the work that you see on either my Instagram or my vsco, you can find prints of it on my redbubble, which is hb_arts, or you can DM me through Instagram to work out commissions. Anyway, thank you guys. I hope that you liked this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll try to get back to you on them. Good luck on your portfolios!